I have made experimental videos before. As a matter of fact, I encourage people to cook. It's such a creative art. But this is a first for me. I've never made banana dumplings, and I've never made banana dumplings in a soup. So therefore, I'm soliciting your comments, please. This is the one video that I have made that I'm telling you, please read the comments section. I think my fans and my friends will help me in this video in that they will make the comments constructive criticism that will help us all. After all, together we learn, right? Okay, on we go then. First things first, I'm using green bananas. Now, these are not ripe bananas that are green. These are actually green bananas. They're made for cooking. Peeling a banana can be quite tricky. As a matter of fact, if you have any suggestion as to how one may clean a banana, or to peel a banana rather, please share. Anyway, I managed to take the skin off the banana, and once I did that, I cut them up in little pieces, and then I put them in a blender. Now once in the blender, I wanted some flavor to the banana, so I added some scallion. In addition to the scallion, I also added some salt. Now, here I could have been more creative. I know that. I should have been, as a matter of fact. In addition to the salt and the scallion, of course, I added some water. At first, I added a little bit of water, but it didn't seem to be enough. I mean, the grinder didn't grind them up fine enough. So I added some additional water. And again, my blender did its job, and there you have it. Now, once that was done, I placed this into a bowl, and then once it was in the bowl, what I needed to do then, of course, was to start to think in terms of making a dumpling. In other words, how am I going to make this dumpling? How am I going to turn this banana and scallion and salt into a dumpling? Then I had the idea that perhaps what I really ought to do is to put it all in a bowl. That's the first thing. Put it all in a bowl. The very next thing that I must do is I must add some flour. Now, unfortunately, the only flour I had was self-rising flour. I don't think that was a factor, however. So, I added some self-rising flour to my banana mixture, and I just poured it in enough that I thought would be sufficient to make some dumplings, and I did. Occasionally I had to add more flour because it was too soft, but eventually, by adding a little flour at a time, I did get it to the point where I could make some dumplings, and here they are. Once I made the dumplings, and as you can see, the scallion is very pronounced in the dumplings, which is fine. I have no problem with that. I then added my banana that was cut in bite-sized pieces. Now, this is not the same banana that I used in the blender. Obviously, it is not. This is another banana. As a matter of fact, I used 2 bananas, and I cut them up in bite-sized pieces for my soup, because in the end, I wanted to add some dumplings and banana. I also, instead of using more salt, I used codfish. Now, the ones that I have come in a box like this. So I simply opened it, took the codfish out, and set it aside. Of course, I washed it first, of course, as much of the salt as I could. I also used this soup mix. I don't see where it'll make any difference if you use your own brand. This happens to be Grace flavored soup mix. Now, it calls for 2 cups of water. In fact, I used about 4 cups of water because I was adding the dumplings, remember, and the green bananas. So I followed the instructions and I added the soup mix to cold water. That was what was written on the package. And let me tell you, when you're using something for the first time, you ought to follow the package. Follow the instructions that are written on the package. So I mixed it in cold water, and once that was done, of course, I turned the heat up because I wanted it to boil. After all, I'll be adding things. The codfish, as I said, I washed it and I added the codfish to my soup mixture because I wanted to add some salt and the flavor of the codfish. So The soup did get hot eventually, and once it got hot, of course, I added the stuff. First, the banana. Remember? I cut them up in bite-sized pieces and I added. Now, I think one of my errors in making this soup is that I cooked the soup way too long, so the banana was way overcooked. Once the bananas were added to the soup, of course, then the next evolution was to add the rest of the stuff into the soup. Rest of the stuff meaning that I added the dumplings that were made from the banana. So in they went. And notice, because they were made with self-rising flour, they all floated to the top, which is fine. I have no problems at all with that. In it went, and here again, I think I would have been better off if I added more flavor to my soup. For example, I relied heavily on the soup mix to add the spices that I thought I should have had. Then, of course, as I said, I added the saltfish in it into the soup because I wanted the additional salt in the soup. It worked out fine, really. Then I put the lid on and I cooked everything for about 30 minutes because I knew that the soup would take that long. Then when I opened the soup, it wasn't as thick as I wanted it. So I added 1 teaspoon of Argo cornstarch to a half a glass of milk. And then I poured that in, just like that, to thicken my soup. In the end, voila, this is what I had. My banana dumpling soup with bananas, green bananas. The noodles, of course, came from the soup mix. Now, in my opinion, I think it tasted okay, but I will tell you this. I think it could have been better. So, I'm asking you, please write your comments and suggestions in the comments section. Thank you very much.